second first ride, and there's going to be a third first ride. Basically now I'm legal. The first ride, I was picking the bike up from the guy I bought it from, and I rode it home about 53 miles without paperwork. I had insurance, but I just didn't have registration and whatnot. So now I got registration, insurance, plate, tags, and now I'm good. And yeah, the ride, the first ride was just kind of awkward because, you know, I am not a vlogger. I just like to document what's going on. I don't necessarily have a script and all that stuff. I'm just riding, and you know, that's all. No big deal. I love this bike so far. I mean, like I said, second time I've ridden it. The first time I rode one was 2017. I rode a 2016 used bobber that was like the demo, not really used, but the demo for the what was it, Newport Triumph. And yeah, I rode it for a while. I think I rode it for like 20 minutes or something, and I immediately liked it. And fast forward, you know, what is that, 5 years, 6 years, and I have one, so that's awesome. And I remember when I first rode when I rode the first one, it was like I think the first year of it, 2017. And since then they've made, you know, a lot of improvements. They came up with the Bobber Black, which basically is the dual rotor up front, because people were complaining that it didn't have really good stopping power. A bigger tire, more reminiscent of a bobber or like a fat bob. And yeah, and then they blacked everything out, which I really like. And yeah, I don't know, I'm really pleased with it so far. But like I said, second time I've ridden it, probably 60 miles now, if that. So right now I'm just going over to wash it. There were some things I didn't notice because I was excited when I first looked at it. It was like on I think it was a Wednesday. I couldn't look at it on a Thursday because the guy was not available. So I looked at it, I liked it, and then I ended up coming back on a Friday. Me and him went to the bank, took care of all the paperwork, paid off what he owed, gave him the rest, and that's that. Rode it home illegally, and I really wanted to ride it some more before, you know, before I got the tags, which was Monday, because I was off Monday. So I went down to the SOS, what they call out here, what we call in California DMV, and did what I had to do, paid the taxes on the price that I, you know, had documented for this, and all the other stuff. And like I was gonna say before that, I really was tempted to ride it Saturday, because I believe, yeah, I was off Saturday. But I went and looked at the penalties for riding a bike that's not registered without paperwork, and I didn't want to deal with all of those penalties and up to 90 days imprisonment and all that stuff. So kudos to you guys that like to ride around without registration and no tags. You guys are foolish. But yeah, I wasn't doing that. So anyway, what do I do about the exhaust? Because I want to get rid of the cat. The cat's just it's not even that big on this. It's about, like, you know, that big, but it's just a little heat sink. Everything, it just heats up everything from the bottom up, you know what I mean? So the engine's probably running a little hotter than it needs to be with that little heat brick there, little heat exchanger. So getting rid of that is probably about anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks. But you know, I get this, I want to be able to work on it, so I got a little jack for it, those little, you know, belly pan jacks or whatever that jack up the frame, so I can pull off the front tire. I got a rear stand for it. I ordered the bobbins. for it. I haven't got here yet. The guy never cleaned the chain on it, so now I got to clean the chain and see if I can get some of the surface rust off of it. It's not completely rusted out, but it's got surface rust. And if I just love that sound. That 270 crank sound just sounds awesome. So my other dilemma, like I said, which is not really a dilemma, is do I put an exhaust on it? I've seen a lot of exhaust. I like the Thornton 100 exhaust. There's a few different things you can do with that, but they are basically, you know, there's no baffle, there's no nothing, and they're loud as fuck. So I don't know if that's a good idea, because I really do like not making so much noise. Mobile water. That's the thing people were complaining about too, is there's no place to put the gas cap while you're filling. We'll see how much goes back in it. Man, 1.5 gallons. Wow.
Wow.
Wow, wow.
So I was out on full. Look at that shit. Any towels here? Yeah, there is. Let's see. Any towels? Yep. Oh yeah. That's the way I likes it. I fill it up and now it says I got 80 miles till empty. Isn't that crazy? That can't be right. Let me reset that tripometer. There we go. We'll see what she says. Now she's quiet. She's got a nice thud to it, nice thump. Little brrr. Kind of cool. Yeah, so the reason I got this was because I've always liked it, and ever since I rode that first one in 2017, I was in love. And I just couldn't afford it. Couldn't swing it. But anyway, that's one of the reasons I purchased it, because I rode it and fell in love with it. The other reason was I was looking for another bike, one that didn't sit so high, one that didn't have such an aggressive stance as the Speed Triple. A lot of people call the Speed Triple a sport bike without the fairings, and I don't really say it's a sport bike without the fairings. It's fast, but it's not sport bike fast. It doesn't have a crazy top end or high mile, top mile an hour. So, but it does have a ton of torque, and it is, I think it's got like 135 horsepower. So that's more than enough for a first bike. I wouldn't recommend anybody do that for their first bike unless you have great restraint. And being older like I am, I really wasn't too worried about having restraint, because nobody wants to go down, but especially when you're old, you don't want to go down, or you don't want to have an accident. So it makes you mindful of the things you're doing and not to be a dumbass. Yes, riding a motorcycle is dangerous. Yes, people don't see you, but if you keep it around the speed limit and you're cautious about where you do decide to go faster, you're very cautious about that, and respectful of the law and your own ability to control the motorcycle. If you can do that, you can fare pretty well. In other words, I'm not going to say you're not going to have an accident, that having an accident's impossible. I'm just saying the chances of you having an accident are lessened by being a good steward of what you're given. There's so many times I've been on the other bike and I've said, let's do a pull here, and I start into it, and then something tells me, hey, no, not the right time, don't do it, back off, whatever. And I listen to that little voice in my head, and I avoid catastrophe. I don't think I have it on video. I might, but I was in a back road somewhere around here. It was paved. It was a long stretch of road with houses on both sides and driveways on both sides. Me and my friend went down that road, and then he wanted to turn around and go back the same road so we can head to some other road, just adventuring around out here with all these roads and nice somewhat twisty roads. It's just nice scenery. So we turned around, and I figured I would do a flyby and just fly past him as fast as I could, and I did. But knowing what could possibly happen, I looked ahead, and the road goes up. It's an inclining. It goes up into a little bit of a hill, and you can't see over that hill, so you don't know what's coming on the other side of that hill. So since I couldn't see that, once I realized that, I immediately backed off, started hitting the brakes, and coasted up that hill. And sure enough, there was a guy in a dually coming out of his driveway with the trailer. So if I would have decided to keep it pinned and fly up that hill, because it would have felt glorious, right? That elevation change always feels good in the pit of your stomach. But I would have been either at his rear dually wheels wadded up, or I would have been very badly wrecked into the back of his trailer, or the side of his trailer. So I'm glad I listened to my voice, a little small voice, and didn't go balls out that particular time. I mean, there have been other times. I think the fastest I've had that bike is 138 or 140, and I think top speed on that bike is 153 or 152, something like that. And that was, that was a long time ago I did that, because I wanted to know what it would do. But still, when I got up to 140, I was like, no, not good, slow down. And I slowed down, and I was fine. And there was, there wasn't this revelation in front of me saying, look what could have happened to you. Just, there was nothing, it was fine. So yeah, but I think the next thing I want to do on this, besides figuring out what exhaust I want to use, is getting a softer seat, something with a little bit more cushion, because this one is actually kind of hard, and it's actually kind of bad on my ass cheeks, my ass bone. I mean, I can feel the feels like I can feel the bottom of the seat pan, the underside, if you know what I mean. But I've watched other people review these and say, no, it's comfortable. I could probably do 2 hours on this. Yeah, I don't know if I could do 2 hours. I mean, if I had to, I could, but I have to stop every 30 minutes or 45 minutes to stand up and most likely get gas, because this thing's fucking gonna run out of gas, that little tiny tank it has. But yeah, anyway. Now, why did my camera decide to click off? I heard that piece of shit click off. So I think I did. I'm hearing some noises in my head, in my earpiece, which is in a song that sounds like the same noise yeah, it's still on. The same noise that GoPro makes when it powers off. It's like a beep, 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 beep. Anyway, I don't know if you guys heard that. I heard it, and that's the first thing I thought of. I can feel the heat being generated by these catalysts and the engine. This thing is funny, man. It just feels like the engine is just not revving. I mean, it doesn't. It revs. It's a low revving engine, but it just feels funny that it sounds like you're not really going anywhere, but you look down and you are. So it's kind of weird. I like it though. I like it a lot. Now the exhaust I was looking at is kind of nice. It comes down and the exhaust comes right out before right ahead of the engine case, and it kind of twists around like a serpentine, like a spiral, and it looks really good. But you know, custom exhaust like that are anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000, $2,500. So it's not that I wouldn't do it. It's just that, am I going to sacrifice you know, noise? Because I really like the idea that this bike isn't insanely loud. I like the low rumble, and if I go to that, it's just going to be like a fucking Top Fuel dragster, and I don't know if that's cool. Getting up in the morning to go to work at you know, 5:30, and your neighbors have to hear fucking John Garlitz start up his bike and go to work. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. I gotta hear this exhaust in person. Maybe there's somebody in some of the forums that actually maybe has the exhaust or something. Like I said, man, just blah, blah, blah. And you look down, you're doing 70. It's like, what? So we are going downtown Chelsea. I think the thing was supposed to be up until 6 o'clock. It's now 8:05, so it should be over. There should probably be some afterglow, if you know what I mean. Maybe people hanging around, but the street shouldn't be blocked off. It feels good out right now. I wish this thing had a temperature to tell you how warm or cool it was outside. It feels like it's about 78, 75, not 75, maybe 76, 78. That's what it feels like. And when I brought this thing home, it was so neat to be able to twist the throttle. I mean, not even full throttle, just twist it aggressively and go around cars that are slow. You know, you do that in a speed trip, well, before you know it, you're like, oh shit, I'm going way too fast. And it's not really a comfortable experience. And that's because I don't do it all the time, because I'm still a little weird on that bike. But the more I ride it, the better I get at it. And I think this will just help, because when I rode my buddy's, what was it, Moto Guzzi, he has a, I can't think of it, but I was thinking about getting one before I found this used. But it's a low seat, you know, similar riding stance, maybe a little bit more upright and a little bit more back like this with the bars. And I really enjoyed that, but it wasn't sporty enough. It felt very utilitarian. Like, I'm delivering the mail. This is what I do. This is my mail bike. You know what I mean? That's what it kind of felt like. But anyway, that being said, when I got, after riding that, I think I rode it for maybe 45 minutes or something. Maybe it was an hour. And I got back on my bike and I was like, oh, this feels like home. This feels so good. But now this actually feels really good. Just love this kind of riding, just cruising, not in a hurry to get anywhere, but I can be, but I'm just not. It's not an aggressive stance. That's one of the things I noticed with the speed triple. When you get on it, it's like an aggressive stance. It's like the bike wants to do business, and you're like, no dude, I just want to cruise. The bike's like, no, but I want to fucking dive into this corner, I want to do a wheelie. And you're like, no, I want to do that. So this will take that place. I guess this Jeep wants to go faster than 60. Well, okay. Go a little bit faster than 60.